Welcome to Ragin Fishbowl here. My name is Chief here. Joining me today is Jalen. Jalen, how was your Thanksgiving week?
Man, Chief, it was great. Ate a lot of food. Had leftovers. Ate that. Thanksgiving was great. Got to spend time with family. It's always a great time. How about you, Chief?
You know, you got to get that ham, bro. Look, I know turkey is usually everybody's kind of like the signature dish that you got to have, but for me with Thanksgiving, you got to have a good ham. Ham
Absolutely.
is basically where it's at with Thanksgiving, right? So
I'm with you.
look, I think having a good ham is really good, which I got some really good deals at Super One. So, you gotta stock up before. That's all I'm saying. You try to go find something at the week before Thanksgiving or whatever, you're gonna be in kind of a little bit of trouble here. So that's usually why I try to get my shopping done early and just get that stuff done with.
I
All that
agree.
noise there. So let's start talking about where the Raging Cajuns might actually be going this bowl season here. So the Fish Bowl, we posted out an article yesterday that compiled um with the bowl match. So that being said, okay, if you look at the bowl series
Mm-hmm.
and how everything kind of matches up here, Independence Bowl came up twice, which is right there in Shreveport, and I got a personal story with Independence Bowl. I was there in 2023 when the degrees was like 4 degrees outside. Literally froze
Freezing.
our butts off outside. Our my feet were frozen solid. So whenever we were walking out of the stadium, I couldn't feel my feet. I had like 3 or 4 pairs of socks on my feet at some point there. Had some really thick socks, and you know what? We're just not made for that kind of stuff down here. Just plain in general, when you're in South Louisiana, we're just not made for it at all right there. But so Cajuns came up twice in that list there: Independence Bowl, the Boca Raton Bowl, Raton Bowl, in Florida. They appear twice on multiple different lists. So that seems like everybody's kind of going. So from what I've heard from like sources that I have and stuff, it looks like they're going to go to Florida. That's from what people are telling me. Now that's not official news, but that's just what I'm hearing. I've also heard of the Independence Bowl as well. Oh, it looks like the CFP came out with their top 25 list. So that's something around the check out here pretty soon. Because we're gonna be doing the LSU pod at 9 o'clock tonight. So if y'all are up, I have a hard time staying up for that show. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know how the other boys do it, but so nine at so yeah, we're gonna be talking about that too, and the whole the stuff happening um east of Lafayette for sure. So that is something to kind of look into and stuff. So those are the two bowl destinations. I've also seen Frisco Bowl get brought up because of the Big 12 having two people in the CFP, which this is kind of something to pay attention to because the CFP relates to the Cajuns and the fact that some of these conferences are not going to be able to fill their bowl obligations because of the fact that they're having people in the college football playoff. So that is something to look at there. So in regards to that there, that is something we're gonna have to look at whenever we get down the road. Jalen, I've even seen New Orleans Bowl get brought up. Louisiana Tech was one of them as well.
Yeah.
Independent Bowl with Louisiana Tech here. Look, I would be okay with going to the bowl with Tech. I think it'd be a well attended bowl rivalry game for the Cajuns in a bowl matchup. It don't get much bigger than that, honestly, for a rivalry game to be played in a bowl game.
No, I absolutely agree. And but like you said, I've been seeing a lot of the Independence Bowl more than any other bowl for the Cajuns. The Boca Raton Bowl, and I think I'm saying that correctly. In Florida.
You're probably right.
Uh that one has been a close second to what I'm seeing. New Orleans. I think the Boca Raton Bowl. I think that one be interesting in Florida. They get out of Louisiana. I think that'd be a good one, and that'd be a great one against Louisiana Tech. Get both schools away from home state, playing in Florida. I think that'd be a good one in December.
Yeah, I think that is something you got to look at here. So that's I mean, look, December, you're in Florida. I mean, you're gonna have 70-degree weather. It's gonna be nice out there. It's not gonna get really too bad there in Florida. So if you don't like the cold, like I know some people I do personally don't like the cold, so that'd be a bowl game that you would probably want to go attend to because it's gonna be like 72 degrees. You get to go to the beach, quite literally. The water is gonna be probably cold in December time, but that wouldn't be that bad, that kind of thing. It would be very easy for that to happen there. So look, I'm just saying that'd be a good bowl destination for the Cajuns too. I'm just saying. Uh, New Orleans Bowl was kind of a tired out one for the Cajuns. Look, I love going to
Yep,
New Orleans. I love the city of New Orleans, but I mean the Cajuns have been there so many times over the years. Like,
I agree.
um, last time I went was 2016. I didn't go in 21 or 23 because I'm just tired of going down there. Like we went 4 straight years, 2011, 12, 13, and 14. Then we skip a year, go back in 16 because that was the only bowl game we were going to. Uh, that was five, and then you add another like 21, 6, and then 23, 7. Because I went to the Sun Belt Conference Championship game in 2021, and I said if we go to the New Orleans Bowl, it's not going to match this feeling. I want to go out on this Sun Belt Championship high because it was just great to have that kind of thing there, just to be in the stadium with Cajun Field, the way it was going. I didn't want to go to a bowl game and get maybe disappointed or we win in New Orleans. It's the same kind of feeling. A Sun Belt championship game, conference championships always are higher than a bowl game, in my opinion. They're always going to be that way. They are always going to be better. That's just the way it is, like the
Yep.
bowl. The conference championship will always have more weight than a bowl game, Jalen. I mean, I think especially in this day and age, bowl games don't matter as much as they used to even 10 years ago.
That's
The
so
whole
true though.
the whole landscape has changed here, and I just think that's just the way that everything's going right now. That's kind of like the problem of just the way that the CFP is set up here.
Hmm.
We're going to talk about we're going to get back to this in a little bit here whenever we do the hot sauce tape, this hot sauce segment, because it's gonna have some kind of thing here. I know the big news thing is I'll do it again if y'all don't want to listen to me do it later on in the show. I'll do it at 9 with the LSU thing. But I think it's a really good point there, and I think this is kind of what it's finally affecting a higher level program, and we'll get back into that, and that's going to affect everything here. So let's talk about Raging Cajun men's basketball. Jalen, they lost to Jackson State this past week. Um, I know they were kind of doing the big push for Giving Tuesday was the big push from Raging Cajun Athletics across all their social media platforms today. So if you want to donate to them, go ahead and do so here. If you don't do the NIL funds, it's good to get back to the community in other ways. So just have that there. So it's always good to help out people. When people want ask for help, you help them out. Basically, that's what us Cajuns do. So Jalen, let's talk about this for a second. You're losing to Jackson State. Men's basketball is not where they want to be, but Kiwanis in his press conference is talking about like, it's all about like building. Building to where we need to be and stuff like that. You know what? Look, kind of agree with him. You got to be in the right spot. You got to be able to build yourself up and be able to put yourself in situations where to win games and stuff here. It's just, the offense of the Raging Cajun men's basketball team is not exactly where they need to be. So, what you think, Jalen, about all that?
Man, I think it's a. I don't want to say. I know it's a rocky start. They haven't won a game in a while. I think they're on a 6 game losing streak. But I just I still think it's early. I mean, I really do, Chief. I really do think it's early. I know Jackson State came in not winning the game and they beat the Cajuns, but like Kwana said in his presser, like it's not the guys are not giving up. They're playing. They're frustrated, yes, because they're losing, but we gotta look at the you gotta look at the bigger picture. And right now, let them struggle now, but when it gets to Sun Belt play and things start clicking. then that's when it really is gonna matter most. And they're gonna get it going. They're not gonna sit there and keep losing games. The one against Jackson State was close. They lost by 6. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw it. I don't know if you saw it, Chief, but Kiwanis, he's still tweaking that lineup. He's still putting guys in and out. The same guys are not starting every game so far this season.
So he's kind of doing what I've he's kind of doing what other basketball coaches do. Like I'll bring a big name up that a lot of people like to talk about that have won national championships. Kim Mulkey's doing that same thing right now with
Yep.
LSU women's basketball. She's changing up that lineup every single time I see them sit the floor, and it's relatable because it's like this is like she's not satisfied with the lineup, and she's beating people by 100 some points. So is the basketball team's going to win more games? They're going to win over. I think they're going to win over. I could see them um beating Lamar. I like Lamar. They're playing in Lamar and UNCW. I could see them beating them too. I think that'll be a very good thing for them there. I will try to be in attendance Saturday. I got some other stuff going on, but I'll probably end up going over there. Wednesday is kind of a rough. It's gonna be on the road. They could beat Lamar and they could very well lose to Lamar. It's gonna be depending on what happens tomorrow here. The Cajuns' biggest thing, in my opinion, they didn't shoot the ball good at all against Jackson State. That was from the start, dude. Like they did not shoot well because they had a cold spell late in the game here. Darius Woodson for the Cajuns scored 13 points. Joshua Lewis scored 10. So, and I mean, look, we had a decent crowd over. We had 2,000, like 2,700. I mean, granted, it was a Friday night game. You probably could have got some more people from the 6-7 promotion they were going on. Yes, I know. Kids all around the world did a 6-7 dance. Um, but yeah, like they shot 23% from the floor in the first half of the game. You can't win games like that. Like it's all like that's the thing with the Cajuns. They're not consistent in offensive production. And when you're not consistent at something, it makes it like you feel like you got to compensate somewhere, right? Like 3-point shooting, you should be hitting your 30% of your 3-point shots. The whole game, the Cajuns shot 18.5% against Jackson State. From the floor, they shot 31.4%. Now, a good shooting team, you're hitting 60. You're hitting 50 to 60% of your field goal shots. So I know what the game plan is. I just don't know if they're actually able to. I don't know if this team fits that game plan. If it makes sense, right?
It makes sense. And
Uh,
I mean, trying to put guys in places. So I get what you mean 100%.
like Jackson State didn't shoot great either. They shot 38%
No,
point
they
seven
didn't.
percent from the floor in the second half. They shot 37.5. Whole game 38.2. That is a very winnable game for the Cajuns. And like another thing, free throws. You're only hitting 50% of your free throws. That ain't gonna do much for you. They shot 16 field goal free throws. But look, man, like if they make 80% of those free throw shots, 14 out of 16, there you go. Because they made 8. There's your difference right there. It's small things like that. This team is not. Their record is terrible. Like you look at this team, you think 1-7. This is a terrible basketball team. Okay, but you gotta look at it like this too. They held Jackson State to 51 points. Okay, they're close. They are close to winning games. Okay, they might not go on the streak and win 10, 15 games, but this team is close. They just got to put it together. Now, they got to get better offensively. Defensively, I think they're doing great. But I think they're like if you convert those free throw shooting to 80% of their free throw shots in those games, because they're getting to the line. They shot 16 times against Jackson State and only made 8. That's the difference in the ball game right there. And that's them.
Uh-huh.
And that's with them shooting 31.4% from the floor the whole entire game. They're close. The Rage Cajun men's basketball team is close to winning games. That's all I'm gonna say. You're not as bad as you think you are. That's just the way it is. Like you're just not that bad. I know other people they try to micro look under a microscope like yeah this is what this is, but looking at this from the macro perspective, like the really big picture, this team is not that far off. Um, they started 4 guards and a forward. Okay, Jackson State started 3 guards and 2 forwards on their team. So that is something that he's still tinkering the lineup. You know, trying to they had a bad West Coast run. They got back home. I want to see them improve. I want them to get to. I want them to shoot. I want them to shoot the whole game 40% against Lamar. If they can shoot 40% against Lamar, I think they'll actually beat Lamar offensively. If they can shoot 40 to 50% from the floor, I think that's where they're going to go at. So, official prediction from Chief. I think it's gonna be a close game. I really do. I think defensively, the Cajuns are going to play Lamar tough. I think they'll man up on him. But the problem is they got to get some inside work though too. I think that's where these like they don't dump the ball inside enough to really like force the issue because Evans gets in foul trouble a good bit. He's got to learn not to get in foul trouble, not to trigger those fouls. I know it's easier said than done, but it's small things like that, right? Um, you don't want to lose your intensity, but you want to know, like, okay, look, don't draw the foul here. Just let them get the shot off or whatever. And sometimes that those people off, they're like, oh my gosh, I have it wide open, right? But that's the thing. If they could put all that stuff together, like we were talking, like I've been talking about here with the percentages and how much they make and shoot like that, it's small. It's a very small difference between winning and losing games, and they're in that small spectrum where they're close. Like we were talking about the 6 point differential with Jackson State. Back to the free throw thing. That's where your points are at. You look at the field goal shooting. They get a little bit better in the first half. Completely different game in the second half. What you think, Jalen?
No, absolutely. And I think that like you said, on the offensive side of the ball, they're they're going to get it together. I think coming up in against this matchup against Lamar, I think the Cajuns will be able to score the ball. But like you said, it's the little things right now. But the thing is, those little things that they if they get those right, that'll turn to huge advantages for them later on in the season. Like when you like you said, the free throw shooting, when it comes to the three-point shooting. Because in some of these games, the Cajuns have only made like one, and I know it's against like big time opponents. Don't get me wrong. Like you're playing the the Stanfords of the world and then Santa Clara, where you're only making one or two threes. But that's not going to last. They're going to, when it comes to the Sun Belt, you don't have to worry about facing those huge teams. But when you have a game like against Lamar, uh, that's when these Cajuns are going to need to shine and start shooting the ball well and get things clicking. And then if you start making buckets on the offensive end, it'll set you up better for you to get back and play better defense too.
Yeah, I think that's the way it is here. I think that's part of what you got to do here because if they could like it's such a like I'm telling y'all it is razor thin how close this team could actually be to winning basketball games. It's right there. If you look at you look at the stats straight up looking down, you watch the game, boom, you have your answer right there. It's right in your face. If you look right at it, it's right in your face. Because numbers ain't gonna lie to you. They're not gonna do anything to where it's like, okay, like you're making up these numbers. No, this is what the stats are telling you, and them stats ain't gonna lie too much here, unless you're like, okay, they got a late score in the game, and they kind of just compiled it up there. But this team's really close. But I just hope they turn it around. If they could just figure this out, against Lamar, if they just shoot the ball better against Lamar, I'll be happy with that. Because if they can get there, it's going to give them some confidence, and that's exactly what this team needs is some confidence right now. That's all they need. I think confidence can, you know, start you steamrolling your competition at some point once you get a little confidence in yourself. That's all they need right now, and I think they'll be good. All right, Jalen, let's talk about Raging Cajun women's basketball. They played today, and they drop another one. What you thinking, buddy?
Listen, I mean, we we talked about it, Chief, and we literally said when it comes to these games right here, we think that they win them.
Yep.
Um, I'm just I don't I don't know what to say. I'm really if I'm being honest with you. I
Yeah.
just I team is really bad start. Really, really bad start.
I got some. We got some other news about the women's basketball team that we're it's kind of hearsay at this point. I'm not going to talk about it because it's not going to be brought up at this time. It's going to be brought up probably in the future. When we get to it, we'll report on it. But it's some information that we have here. But looking ahead to the schedule, you start Sunbelt play pretty soon. Um, you got Texas State coming to town pretty soon here, and you know
Mm-hmm.
they're literally one game away from where you're at. So you have to deal with that. Morehead State's going to come to the Cajun Dome on not Saturday, Sunday at 4 o'clock.
I
It's
just want
free.
them. I just want them to win a game.
Yeah, like
They get
you
their
know,
first
it
win.
they're not really scoring that many points. They scored 47 today. Then they scored 48 against Fresno, then 62, 64. They're not getting into them 70, 80 points. I mean, Texas was understandable. Um, they're hot, but they beat Mississippi College and they beat LSUA, and that's both exhibition matches. So, you look at that like, okay, we might be onto something, but losing 47 to 72 against East Texas A&M, it's not looking good for the Raging Cajun women's basketball team right now. I can't be confident and say that they're going to beat Morehead State. I think they'll drop that one too. I'm trying to find where they get a win at. Maybe Dillard. Maybe Sunbelt is out of the question right now. I can't recommend them beating anybody in the Sunbelt right now.
I couldn't
Uh,
either.
that's a lot of games, and they're gonna probably win 2 or 3 games. Okay, just because of just the sheer volume of games you have to play. Um, like talking about today's game, right? And talking about like they only scored 8 points in the first period of that game. They played better. They had 5,000 fans over there today. Very big attendance for them today. Good thing for them. Um, I don't even know how they even check attendance from women's basketball because there's no tickets. You just walk up in there.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Um, that's kind of one of those things there. So, I mean, look, I guess I'll be impressed. I guess so, if that is what it is here. I'm trying to see how many people, if they even have like a Delta State, how many people they had for that one. 643. Yeah, it's like less than like 1,000 people for every game. So, um, not looking good. The games are free. They're literally free. Like I mean, if you need like a cheap outing with the family, that's your opportunity right there. And I really wish the Cajuns would actually invest more in women's basketball. I think because like the way women's sports is growing and stuff, it's a big market out there now. It's something
Absolutely.
Cajuns need to get into. I think because if they had like a really strong women's basketball team, maybe put more NIL money into it. Because I think the problem with the Cajuns and like little like G5 G6, you never get ahead doing what everybody else is doing. Okay, you never do. No
That's
matter in
true.
life, right? You always have to do something differently than everybody else is doing. Okay, so why not we just take from look, if we're gonna suck at a particular sport, why not we just take the money from all that money from that sport and just dump it in one sport that no one's expecting us to be good in? Look at Texas Tech. Just do it on a G6 level, right? If we don't have a lot of NIL funds to go around, just dump it in the women's basketball team and make sure you get a high quality coach doing it too. Like if because that's gonna bring more money to your university, basically. Now, granted, I don't want football to suffer, but if we're gonna be bad at baseball, softball, and basketball, you might as well invest all those funds in those one sport and just because if they're not a money making sport, don't even worry about it. Like maybe you just like you put all your eggs in one basket and you hope it pays off here because think about it. The Cajuns, we want to go up higher into conferences, right? Which the next step up for the Sun Belt would be the American Conference, right? Because look at all the press that Tulane's getting. That should be JMU right now. JMU only has one loss. They've had probably a better schedule, and they only lost by like 5 points to Louisville. But they're going to put an American champion over the Sun Belt champion. That's just the way that the committee is ran that way, and this is just the way it is here. Like it wouldn't matter if it's the Cajuns or whatever. They're just looking at brands and they're looking at this stuff like, okay, the American Conference is better than the Sun Belt. That's baked into their head. You ain't changing their mind anytime soon. It'll be
It's
10.
sad but true.
Yeah, that's just the way it is. So if you're gonna suck at a sport, you must take all the funds and put it all in one sport and hope it pays off for you. Because let's think about it. I'm gonna throw this out there. Um, what's gonna drive more people to watch across America? Like, just what sports? If I had to, you had to pick out those three, Jalen. Let's say baseball, softball, and the non money making sports: baseball, softball, women's basketball. Okay,
Hmm.
which one? If you had to take all NIL funds and just put them all in here and just go there, which one you going with?
Yeah, we're not talking schools. We're talking just the sport in general.
I guess Cajuns. Let's go Cajuns because I mean, like, this is a Ragin Cajun podcast.
Okay, well, we're talking. If we're talking Cajuns, I think they'll go. I think they'll go softball.
So you think that would bring like I'm trying to figure out which one would maximize your revenue, okay?
Because softball's been known for making tournaments, actually getting past the first round. Softball has been known over the years to even when Jerry was still here, they were known for having, recruiting great players. Not saying baseball doesn't do it, not saying women's basketball doesn't do it, but women's basketball hasn't had the success over the last couple years, and baseball has been good, but the softball program is well known.
My thing is which one has a higher net revenue for you? Like I mean, look, if you're looking at all the sports, I think it would be Cajuns historically have been good at basketball before the death penalty stuff happened, basically. I know it wasn't technically called a death penalty, but it basically was a death penalty. It was almost the same thing as SMU got for football. But talking about that there, um, you just got to be able to put it all together. I think that's kind of where it's at here. And look, I think that is something that we're going to have to look at here, you know?
A lot of people too, Chief, they want to watch good basketball. And the fact that you said that the Cajuns, like the women's team, are not doing so hot, but yet they're still having a lot of fans come. You know what I'm saying? Even yeah, I know it is free, but at the same time, a lot of fans are still taking up their time to come to support because
Well,
they love basketball.
today was the education game, which is always a big heavy attendance one. It's like five,
Yeah,
you know, that came out here, partner with schools and stuff. But I mean, majority of the time it's like 100, 200 people in there. It's not really big, but like I, I would probably take all NIL funds from almost every single sport. Maybe give them like not much money at all, just to kind of put into your, like especially basketball. I think basketball is the perfectly ripe one that could be like men's basketball. I'm talking specifically to really make something happen with NIL. Because everybody pays attention to football. Nobody really down here pays attention to basketball too much. It's
that's
kind of
true.
like a sleeping kind of giant. But I tell you what, the Cajuns start like going undefeated runs and stuff. They go through and they go start making NCAA tournaments year after year. You will build a fan base. That's exactly what needs to happen down here. But you got to make sure you get to. Um, basically, the program needs to be set up to be for other programs to take our players. That's all I'm saying. And we need to be trying like in this day and age in college athletics and all this other stuff here is the best thing we can hope for as a G6 basically is for people to come poach our coaches, poach our players, because that means you're successful. If they're coming to your school and poaching your players, you're successful. Now, granted, it sucks, but we're gonna have to figure out a way to create this system where we have the top recruits coming here and all this stuff. But there's a problem with that, though. The problem with the system is they're committing to a coach. They're not committing to a school anymore. So you gotta just keep like as much staff as you possibly can, year over year over year. Maybe get an agreement with. This might actually happen where you get an agreement with. I want to say, okay. Let me say this here in the Power Four. Okay, maybe the Cajuns could do an agreement with Houston. I know Houston does take a lot of Ragin Cajun players. Okay, but this is just a hypothetical. I'm just throwing out this as an idea. This could be a terrible idea or it might be a good idea, where your credits all transfer over there, 100%. But the first 2 years they stay at UL. If you could work out an agreement where, like, okay, like for example, I'll liken to it. I I went to LSUE for 2 years, then I went to UL for 2 years. So there was this thing called the bridge program. Okay, so you would take your 2 years, like you get your core classes done, then you go 2 years into and you finish your like major specific areas and stuff like that. But do it in terms of college athletics to where you get a player staying there for 2 years. They're working on their degree, whatever it is. Do the equivalency stuff there that way, and you get your bachelor's at a different school if that's what you really want. That's kind of like because if you're gonna go this, or I mean, if you're not going to be good enough to make that roster, you can still get your bachelor's degree at UL anyway. Like you're not going to be good enough to go to that Power Four like Houston level. Like they're going to take our top guys anyway. So why not we work with them and be like, look, we'll be your minor league farm system school, basically. What you think about that, Jalen?
That's actually a great. I think the way you explained it is great because, like you said, you went to LSU units. I think that's a great way to look at it. And honestly, if that was, and like I said, I'm not gonna say it's a great thing because you just don't know how it's gonna turn out. But that can be successful because that's then the Cajuns will be able to get great players because the players will know, hey, after 2 years, I can either stay at UL or I'm good. If I'm good enough, I can go to Houston. But if they, you know, so I think if a lot of schools did that, that'll because that gateway is open. I mean, you seen even in football, Zion Chris went to Houston. You look at Quantus White, who's on the coaching staff at Houston for basketball. So the opportunity is there. I think if they take advantage of it, that'll be something good.
I
I
mean,
feel
Houston.
like,
I mean, Houston's right there. So
yeah,
you just need to create this partnership, and that's just the way the system is set up. So you might as well turn the system on its head instead of trying to fight to keep these people here. Just keep them there for 2 years in basketball or even football, right? Because the best guys are not going to be starters, but you can develop the ones behind the scenes, right? And you'll still have a good team because you'll still have juniors and seniors that are not your starters, and they're not living the jump ship here. They'll be around the system and they'll know how to the way it is to do things. Louisiana is very good at like developing talent there because you're always going to have players there, but you create this system. Like if Houston has guys that are not good enough to play Big 12 football, drop them down to Sun Belt, then they could transfer back to Houston. Like this development. That's basically how you need to look at it. If you're looking at like they need to stick at one school, you're thinking, you're thinking pre-COVID. Them days are dead. There's no way for you to even get back to that point anymore. Floodgates are open up, which is going to bring me back to this point. I brought that up to bring up this. It's hot sauce time. I don't feel bad for Ole Miss. Okay? I do not feel bad for Ole Miss at all. Period. Blank. Because you want to know why? I wouldn't feel bad if this even happened to LSU either. Every single one of them Power Four schools, they're all guilty of the same exact thing. Okay?
yep.
I'm going to get some LSU hate mail for it. But where was the outrage whenever I'll use Marshall as an example? Where was the outrage when this school here couldn't even play a bowl game? When all this, like all these G5 schools all suffered this stuff, okay? If look, it's only going to become an issue whenever it affects the college football playoff, and it's going to happen one day, okay? This might even happen this year. I don't know who Ole Miss is going to be entering the portal or stuff, but And I say this, but it's not gonna. They're not gonna trust the transfer portal until it affects the college football playoff, and that is gonna be it. Because if you want changes to this portal, you better be hoping all them Ole Miss players get in the portal right now to where they can't field a team for the college football playoff. If they're
Good
not
point.
able, if they're not able to field a team in that playoff, literally all hell is going to break loose in college football because you're playing for a national championship.
Yep.
You can't get much. You can't get bigger than that, right?
Right.
And it'll be crazy to think about that, but they're if Kiffin is going to be tapping into that NIL fund and he knows what the best players are from Ole Miss,
He sure
they might be
does.
mad at him or whatever, but they'll get over being mad that they drop a mill, right?
You're
They'll
right.
get
You're
they
right though.
got a million reasons why they get over that, right?
Yeah, for real. I mean, it's not funny, but it's so true though.
Yeah, like look, I'm just gonna say it's look like the Cajuns when Napier left. All those players left. Okay, this is the beginning of the portal. The Cajuns were one of the first teams to really go through having this big, massive exodus from the portal, and nobody knew how to really feel about it. People were upset about it, and I understand why. I was upset at the time too, but I started thinking about the situation. I'm like, this is going to get a lot worse. I'm going to see what happens. So I don't feel bad. The problem is, and this needs to happen. It should have been happened. I've been saying about this stuff for years. The calendar is dumb. Okay, if you've been watching the Fishbowl since about 2021, I said the calendar needed to change because it made no sense to move National Signing Day away from February. Let the high school recruits come in February. The transfer portal can open up the second week of May, whenever finals are getting done, up until the middle part of June. Okay, they're gonna have at least, let's see, August 30th is your first game. You're gonna have at least almost 2 months to learn how to do a playbook, and it's the summertime. You ain't got no classes hardly. If you're in class for summer, I mean, you're just playing one or two classes, right? You try to graduate faster. It don't make sense, you know. Like that's where the transfer portal should be at. Once a year in the June for football, because let them people spend their spring because they can transfer during the spring. Now the only problem is they got to have some kind of protection or something. The players, they're going to be one about protecting their assets and stuff like that, like their NIL money and stuff like that. That's why I think that like how scholarships are signed basically 1 year or whatever. If they are in a transfer portal and they commit to your school, you have to get them a spot on your roster in the spring. If they are intent, they have to sign a document saying you're going to be there. Okay, that way, um, it will give the other coaches time to replenish their roster because they know like Jalen's leaving UL to go to McNeese. Okay, right? And I would
Hmm.
know Jalen's not going to be on my roster. He's leaving in January. And then when June comes around, I know he's not going to be there. I'm losing my wide receiver. I need to get somebody to fill for Jalen Link if I don't have time to go recruit somebody already, right? But if I get an idea that you're probably leaving before then, like you can have your intent to leave. Like you got to sign an intent to leave in like January transfer because basically when you're transferring anyway, you're going to start over there at McNeese anyway. You could do it within a month of time. I mean, we've seen them do it all the time there. But I think if they sign some kind of document or agreement that the way that could be there, I don't know if there's any rules or stipulations against that or whatever. I could be wrong, but I do think that is something to look at potentially. What you think, Jalen?
No, it definitely is because I mean you gotta have that time period to where yes, you want to give everybody a fair opportunity to where yeah, somebody transfers out your program, you want to bring some other people in, but like you said, that 2 months while you're out of school, especially you're taking maybe one, maybe two at the most classes. If you need more than 2 months to learn a playbook, I mean that's some. I think something's wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, you can at least get a basic fundamental understanding. where you're supposed to
And
line
like
up.
you- and like you- and like you- and like you said, Chief, and I'm glad you brought this with the hot sauce. Hey, it's not an issue until it affects the college football playoff. Then it's going to be the end of the world, and then they're going to try to make some changes.
Yeah, I like with they want to throw all this money around with people. They want to sign these coaches to these big contracts. Look, it's I think they beat the record of buyouts this year by over $100 million. That's insane. Like that's insane. $100 million? Are you kidding me?
That's a lot of money.
Look, I'm kind of wondering this. Like, are even colleges even there to even educate people? I'm being serious. $100 million? Are you kidding me? How much free tuition could you give out for $100 million?
Man, when you look at it like
Man,
that, man,
uh, hmm. Don't shoot the messenger, right?
for real,
No, don't shoot
right?
the messenger there. But I'm just saying, let's. I mean, we got it out there in the open. Let's kind of talk about it here. I don't feel bad for Ole Miss. I won't feel bad for anybody that's going through this hunt right now. I won't feel bad for Penn State when they're going to fall on their face for getting rid of James Franklin.
Yep.
I don't feel bad for any single one of them. At least Ole Miss had a contingency plan. They had a guy. They were like, you know what, you're gonna be head coach. Boom. Defensive coordinator, promoted head coach. Boom. Just like that. But look, the way Lane left, he tried blaming the calendar. They're both at fault. Ole Miss and he already had a plan. He's like, you know what? I already knew. The speed he went, it was like, all right, boom, we already got that because we don't have time to do a search. Basically, what he was saying. We got to continue to the program, right? They didn't do a search or nothing. They just stuck their defensive coordinator, their head coach here, which I think should be the kind of the way they're trying to keep the roster together. And I mean, we kind of seen this play out. I think it's going to be all a situation by situation thing, basically here. Um, like when Napier left, I mean, yeah, Dez was promoted to head coach and stuff like that. They were like, okay, here's they're trying to keep the roster together. That was the similar situation with the Ole Miss stuff. We're just trying to keep the roster together. But it depends how much the players actually want to play that kind of ball, or we're comparing apples to oranges. Power four and G6 are two different levels, but the levels are a lot closer than what they've been in the past. Don't let anybody fool you saying that, oh, that school is going to overpower that other school. I don't know about that anymore. I don't know. I think Tulane could actually beat LSU this year, to be honest with you.
I can see it too.
I mean, like that level is so much closer than what a lot of other people are thinking here. I think I'm when we were talking about this whole thing. I don't know if you were on the show a couple of years ago, Jalen. I'm trying to remember when you started, but we talked about that very thing here. Will the transfer portal bring parity to the sport? And I mean, we keep bringing this up every once in a while, but I think we're having our answer. I think it does. Look at Trinidad, Division II, not even FCS, starting quarterback for Ole Miss. Players slide through the cracks all the time. That's all I'm
Hmm.
saying. Takes the right moment and the right guy to identify this stuff. So it is what it is. So anything you want to say before we get off here, Jalen?
Uh, I just want to say everybody keep having faith. The basketball teams are going to get it together. Even the women's team, they're gonna get some wins. Everybody just keep being patient, especially with the men's basketball team. And hey, keep tuning in. Gotta
You see
support.
that? You see that right there? QR code. Go scan it to go look at our store stuff. We got all kind of stuff from Walmart stuff on there that you can scan here. I think I could probably put this on. Actually, there's a link thing right there on their Facebook Live that I need to start doing. I forget about it. I apologize, Fishbowl Nation. I'll put that on our thing where you can go to our store and just get all kind of stuff there. It helps support the show. help keep this thing for us, doing this stuff for y'all. So if you like the fishbowl and you want to support, we'll gladly take the funds, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
uh, I have to joke around with it a little bit, guys. Got to make the show look fun a little bit here. But thank you for tuning in here. I don't know if you'll notice, but we have like our ticker going here, which gives you all the news and updates of games coming up here and what has happened in the world of sports. If you don't feel like checking out all the other stuff here, last projection for me, I think Cajuns are going to Florida. I think this from what I've been hearing around the camp and stuff. So,
I agree. I agree 100%.
all right. If you enjoyed this episode, like, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, do all the things, share the thing if you got to. Thank y'all for tuning in. Hope you have a great, wonderful day. We'll see you here next time here on Fishbowl Sports. Have a good night, Fishbowl.